Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 16 breakdown for the PPG OP06 case tournament that they held this past weekend. It was 256 players with 8 rounds of Swiss to this top 16 that we see here today. And real quick before we get started, first, if you guys like this kind of content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We're going to be making a lot more OP06 content in the next couple of weeks, including I have my own tournament tonight as of this video going out, and then there's also 2 regionals this upcoming weekend for OP06, so we're going to have a lot of data in the next couple days. But also big shout outs to PPG for not only hosting the event but also posting the deck list on their website, linked on the page as well if you guys want to check out their stuff. But I do appreciate them releasing the list and also the leader breakdown as well for it. So going on into this, again, this was 8 rounds of Swiss, but we do have 5 Sakazuki with one of them winning the event, 4 Gecko Moria, 3 Katakuri, 2 Reiju, 1 Yamato, and 1 copy of Zoro. So only real surprise, I think, is that with 2 copies of Reiju and no copies of Enel into this top 16. I do know that a lot of people were, in conjunction using Enel. Not surprising that Sakazuki, Katakuri, and Gecko Moria were the top 3 leaders from not only the play standpoint, but also the top 16 taking 75% of that top 16. But I think that it's just black's been in a really good spot. I think yellow is a close second best color, and then there's a couple of hopeful maybes kind of going into this meta too. So I think that's kind of impactful. And I do play a lot of Enel. I played a lot of an OP05, and personally I'm having a hard time with it transitioning to OP06, even though you have so many tools for the deck. I think Katakuri is just a little bit more consistent between the two, and I don't know, I just have to find my own build for Enel that I'm really happy with, and I haven't found it yet either. So anyways, we're going to go over the top placing list for each one of these leaders, starting off with our first place list. So we do have Koty's version of the build here. So Sakazuki was already, I would say, the best deck in OP05, and it's also, confirmed banned into the OP07 meta in 3 months from now. But until then, I think he's just chilling. He has a lot of new tools that were added for this this new set for him. Biggest culprit, I think, is Toshigi. I don't know why they gave Sakazuki a second searcher. It's a 1-drop. It's blue, so obviously it only works for Sakazuki for the navy builds. But on play, look at top 5, add up to 1 navy type other than Toshigi to your hand, and then place the rest of your bottom of your deck in any order. We also have which can find brand new can find Toshigi, and that's just adds a lot of early game consistency for the deck. And then also kind of the other things we do have, the Ama, which is just kind of an additional copy of Rob Lucci. You don't get the body on board, but it's also searchable off your Toshigi and brand new, which is really helpful. And then kind of the other big culprit is the Gecko Moria. This deck's really able to take advantage of this, this 8-drop, especially since it's not color restricted to only blue cards, which I think was mostly so Perona could play green cards off of it. But Sakazuki will definitely benefit from being able to play some blue cards at times. But very strong. Obviously, big combos are using cards like Helmeppo or Suru to get a cost reduction, and then you can play Rob Lucci to get some removal from theirs. You could even do something where you play Rebecca and brand new. So Rebecca is also additionally able to draw a card and play a card, and then brand new. So you just get a whole bunch of value off this card, which is already strong, which is an 8-drop 9k. So I'm not sure why I'm explaining Moria that much. You probably have opinions on him already, but Sakazuki is doing very good in this format, and I do not expect to miss him when he's gone in 3 months. But until then, he's going to be around, and you better be prepared for him. Next up, we have our second place list. So this is Jin's version of Katakuri. Sorry, this is our third place list, I believe. Yeah, sorry, our third place list, which is our Charlotte Katakuri. Yellow did also get some pretty nuts cards, some of them which are also going to be banned with the release of OP07. The big items are Onami just being a better version of Thunderbolt. Only thing is that it can't be searched by Pudding, but otherwise it's just a fantastic card. Kiko Nojo is pretty absurd as well, being a 4-drop 6k. And then unless you're blue, you don't really have a good way to remove this, since the on-KO effects will still be happening. So that's really tough, and it's really easy to put your opponent down to 3 life with Charlotte Katakuri. We also do have the addition of Reject, which is 100% getting banned. I super dislike this card. I'm happy it's getting hit, but we still have 3 months for it. You do have to be careful of this can just give your opponent lethal when you're not expecting it. So you do have to be careful of what this can represent. For Dawn for like guaranteed damage is a little bit silly, but that's what it is. And then we also have like a 0-cost event, which Charlotte Katakuri was desperately looking for since we are running so many cards without counter, like our 7-drop Linlands and 10-drop Linlands. And I think we're just like solidified as more like tempo, like aggression kind of version of Katakuri for most of these. So we don't need 8-drop anymore. So the deck is inherently cheaper now. You just run your Linlands if you need them, and then you kind of go from there. So we've been seeing Charlotte Katakuri for almost a year now. The base kind of gameplay for it is not really changed. You just kind of gain tempo advantage, and you play the 10-drop as soon as you can. And we just got some new cards to kind of add to the deck. So this is the build here, and congratulations to Jin for their 3rd place finish. Next up, we have Isaiah's build of Gecko Moria, and he's one of the new leaders from OP06, and I do think he's very strong. He has a lot of comparisons to Sakazuki. He is monocolor, which means you do lose some of the blue cards, but you do have 5 life, which is kind of important when you're kind of like this grindier matchup. You can take that extra card and kind of go from there. You all are really good at filling your drop with some good cards, and the fact that you get to play cards for a little bit cheaper and more consistently since you play them off the out of the trash for the Gecko Moria effect. Our good cards from it are obviously the Absalom, being able to get a KO, the Dr. Hogback, as well as the Perona. All 4 of these are very good. All 3 of these at 4 copies, but very good at what they're doing. And just being able to draw a card from Hogback, I think is kind of silly. I also do like the Victoria Sindri in this deck, just to play it out on turn 1. I didn't know how important it was to trash 5, but after playing quite a bit, this can just kind of set you up for some early game success by playing this, so I think it's really needed. And then we do kind of run like this Navy kind of side engine for it, so brand new. Just even if it whiffs, being able to put 3 cards into your trash is usually worth it. We have like our Tashigi, Suru's a good card, Kuzan 4-drop, lets you put stuff into range with Absalom as well. Borsellino, our Rob Lucci Sabo, and the Gecko Moria. So no Rebecca in this build, which I think is okay. Rebecca, I think, is a little bit less strong in this one specifically, but if you do want to play it with Hina, I think you will get some value, especially since, again, you do get this Absalom, which you're going to be able to keep playing pretty easily throughout the game. Out of your trash if they try to get rid of it, or you just find another copy. So being able to have cost reduction, I think, is really important for this deck specifically. So Hina is really helpful there too. But it's also why we're playing 3 copies of Great Eruption and also 4 copies of Ice Age, which is a little bit absurd in my mind, but since we're a leader that we don't get as much like cycle as we do for Sakazuki, but since we trash a card to play a card from our trash with Gecko Moria, you can be a little bit greedier with cards without any counter, since you can pitch them for free and be able to turn it into a 4-cost that you play on curve, or play for 3, which is really nice. So I don't have much more to say about Gecko Moria. I think this is going to be played for quite a bit. I think the builds are going to change quite a bit throughout the next couple weeks too, as people kind of figure out what the best way to build it. But he's a very strong leader, and I think he's the strongest leader from OP06, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to beat Sakazuki in this OP06 meta consistently. We'll see what it looks like, but this is the build here for Isaiah, and congratulations for their top 16 finish. Next up, we have Yamato, and this is the Fortress build of the deck. You do have like a lot of builds for Yamato, and honestly, it's both very fun and intimidating for this leader, since I think you do have so many different ways to build. But this one is the idea for this one is you just want to go into your 8-drop. You can get some extra value with this card specifically because with the ability of your Yamato, you can play it and you can put Dawn underneath it pretty easily. So that's kind of why it's been called like the Fortress build. You play the 8-drop, you get it, very tricky to remove, and then just the fact that you can like take life with Hody Jones and not be too afraid with it to be able to get your abilities and get more card draw, I think is strong for you. So we obviously play a bunch of blockers. We have like the Don Quixote do Flamingo package with it, but we don't play the 10-drop, which is kind of interesting. The builds that I've seen usually do play the 10-drop, but I will also admit that it's sometimes a little bit tricky to get to that point to be able to play him. So I think not playing him is fine, but it is a little bit of an interesting kind of difference for there. But I do like having like the Hody and the 8-drop uses kit, especially since we don't really need like super duper big boss monsters because we do get a lot of value from our Yamato as it is. So I think that's very strong for you. But yeah, the sugar, just being able to play it off the the Captain Kid and give something rest is good. We have some blockers in the Rosinante and the Killer. Rosinante being very good if they try to remove your Captain Kid by just like standard removal too. And then we also have like the Monet, which is another 3-drop blocker. It's a Don Quixote pirate, but when blocking, rests up to one of your opponent's characters the cost of 4 or less. So being able to do like a double block with this potentially, I think is strong as well. So I haven't tried as much as the Fortress build. I'll probably need to try it again since I haven't been getting a lot of success with it. But I think Yamato it's in this really weird spot where you can play so many different builds, and so if your opponent kind of has like the early read of the wrong build that you're playing, you can get some extra advantage too. So that is the build there, and congratulations to Mathias for their finish with Yamato. All right, we've got 2 Reiju builds. They both went X2, and they have kind of like the difference of like the Yonji build, so I do want to go over them. But this is Kevin's build, and also we have William's build here as well. There's not a lot of differences you can go for it, but I did want to show off just both builds since honestly, like the biggest deck building question is, do you play Yonji in the build or not? I'm currently off of Yonji. I feel like there are just some better tech cards for it, but it does come up that you do want to play it every once in a while. I do think that he is strong into obviously you get like one more trigger off the Vinsmoke Judge, and if you're playing in stuff like Red Purple Law or like the Mirror Match, having more ways to do the Dawn -1 effect is good. We also do have the Germa 66 event, but also the Black Bug, which I haven't tested this one at all, but it still has like the Dawn on your field less than or equal to their opponent for the effect, which I think was not maybe needed for this card. It means that you can't even tech it in against your bad matchups that keep on pace with you Dawn wise, but I do think like the trigger off life is fine, and you will still get like some removal for it, and the fact that it's like removal of cards that this does get rid of Kiko Nojo pretty easily, so that is important for maybe that matchup, but I would fear that it's a little bit dead in hand. But luckily we do have Germa Kingdom that does let you discard from cards from hand and get that cycle for you, but I think that's just important. So this can be good for a turn too, where if you're at 6 Dawn and you want to go to 8 Dawn for Judge next turn, this is a way to play a card with value without losing Dawn, which is important. So I think that's important for there. Otherwise, we're going to look at Williams' list, and if you do not want to play, the additional copies of there, you get some extra room for your cards. I do like playing just a bunch of 2Ks in this build, which has happened for this one. I do like playing like 3 copies of Pudding though, because this will win you games on the spot, especially in these first couple weeks when people aren't playing around the card and they're not like remembering that this is a card that exists that can win. So this is really good against Anel and Yellow specifically too, but I do think it's a good card in general. Other than that, we just see the kind of standard build. 3 copies of Queen. I think this is also a card that you do not need to run in this build. It's probably the most expensive card in the build right now, and I know it's kind of difficult to get to if you didn't have it since I guess this time last year or so. But if you don't have Queen, do not worry. You can definitely play Reiju without it. But I do like playing it like 2 copies just for like an additional way for card draw cycle and filling up our trash with cards. So other than that, we just kind of have there's not a lot of wiggle room for these builds, which is both good for like playing it, but this is definitely more of like a player's deck than necessarily a deck builder's deck, just because of how the archetype is so big and takes up so much of your deck spots. So that's going to be it for the Reiju, and congratulations to both Kevin and William for their finishes there. And then to wrap it up, we have Nicolas's version of Zoro, which is a pretty unique build for it. Is using the Revolution Army cards, and so we did get 2 new cards from the set for Revolution Army. We have Inazuma, which gets Banish if it has 7k or more power, and then we also have the Emporio, which on play you get to look at top 3 cards of your deck, play up to 1 Revolution Army type character with 5k power or less, then return to the bottom of your deck in any order. This card's actually pretty nuts. You don't really have a great way to set it up in this build, but we do have enough cards with Revolution Army, 32 of them. So outside of this, we do have over half of our deck are hits, which is really good. Half of them are Betty and Koala, but I think that's important nonetheless. Emporio playing Emporio and then putting the Dawn underneath it is great. And Betty is the leader that you can pitch the card to get the plus 7k power for a lot of these effects, but Zoro is actually still very good at it too, being able to just put 1 Dawn underneath him and then putting a Dawn on the card. So for 2 Dawn, you're able to just boost this up pretty quickly, but only 1 Dawn's underneath the Emporio as it is, and then the other effects like Inazuma, it's very easy for this card to gain rush, which is nice, and just kind of all the interactions for it. So I think this is kind of a unique build for it too. The only card for this build that needs to have a Revolution Army is the on play for the Karasu, but the when attacking still procs as long as it has 7k or less power. So it looks like a really interesting build, and it's cool to see something that I don't know if you guys have seen this before, and I'm just not missing. I've missed it when looking at over OP06, but it looks really cool, and I'm happy that this got a top 16 finish as well. So I don't have much more insights for it, but congratulations to Nicolas for their finish there. And that's going to be it for this breakdown. Again, thank you to PPG for not only running the event, but for supplying the deck list. And if you guys made it this far into the video, you must like my content for some pedigree or the other. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll be doing a lot more OP06 content in the next couple weeks. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.